Manchester United have just beaten Leicester City 3-0 in a game that could have easily ended 7-2. United looked a little shaky in the first half as Leicester had 11 shots to United's 9 at Old Trafford. But United absolutely dominated the second half with 18 shots and 2.86 XG in the second half alone, thanks to Erik ten Hag's tactical changes at halftime. There were so many good performances to talk about in this game, like Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, David De Gea, who by the way matched Peter Schmeichel's all-time clean sheet record of 180 clean sheets in the game today. So let's start the analysis by looking at how both teams set up in and out of possession. And if you like what you see in this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel to never miss out on content just like this. So both United and Leicester started in a 4-2-3-1 that you see here, but United were actually playing a slight variation of Ten Hag's preferred 3-3-1-3 in a 2-4-3-1 that looked like this. In this shape, you had Rashford playing through the middle as the lone striker, Fernandes and Garnacho on both wings, and Weghorst in the 10 role again. And he was decent today at pressing from the front as soon as United lost the ball, but the problem was that he was actually the one that was losing the ball for United most of the time. And tall players generally have worse balance than shorter players, so when the ball is fired into his feet, he struggles with his first touch and ends up losing the ball. And for the same reason, he's often off balance when he has to execute a quick pass, and that's why the play can break down when he's involved in it. And Ten Hag identified this as one of the bigger issues in the first half today, so he made tactical changes to address it in the second half, as we'll discuss later in the video. Next, we have the midfield four, and this is where Ten Hag tweaks stuff in his starting 11 today, as he usually plays Casemiro in the middle plus the fullbacks on his sides, but today he went with a flat four of Fred, Sabitzer, Dalot, and Shaw. And this made sense in theory because neither Fred nor Sabitzer can put out the defensive output that Casemiro does, so playing both of them together should technically solve the problem. But this didn't work for two main reasons. As Leicester were playing a 4-4-2 out of possession, you had Iheanacho and Maddison pressing our two center backs at the back. With the 3-3-1-3, we usually have an extra man in the back line that does two things for us. One, it draws out an extra forward towards that center back, which creates more space in midfield in behind them. And this allows space for Fred or Weghorst or Garnacho to operate in. Two, it gives us more passing lanes to exploit as three players offer better passing angles than two. And because we didn't have that extra man in the back line, Leicester were often 3v2 or 4v3 whenever they won the ball back. And you saw this in several chances created by Leicester in the first half, as we'll see in the following clips. We start by Ward taking a goal kick up the pitch, and as Castagne heads it towards Tete, we see the first defensive mistake being made by Luke Shaw, who tries to press the right back, but he's nowhere near it. Then Lindelof tries to press Tete to cover up for Luke Shaw, and we already see Castagne being ready to sprint in behind Luke Shaw to get into this channel here. So once Tete gets it under control, it's an easy pass towards Castagne, which puts him in behind the United defenders, and all of a sudden, it's a 4v3 for Leicester versus United, and thankfully the cross from Castagne is a poor one, but he had three Leicester players to aim at in the box, so it could have gone anywhere. In our second clip, we see Christensen launching the ball towards the center circle. Lindelof wins the duel here, but he struggles to get it under control. And as we pause it here, we see Weghorst, Lindelof, and Fred all going for the same ball. And this is really dangerous because if somehow Leicester wins the ball back here, the four players highlighted here can easily run into the spot that's been vacated by Lindelof. Ideally, you'd either want Sabitzer or Fred to be a little further back so that they can cover the spot better. Now, since we're out of position defensively, Leicester obviously wins the ball back and gets into a 3v3 versus United. Now, if Barnes wants, he can play the ball through to Iheanacho now to get Iheanacho in behind, but he opts for a short pass in the hopes that he gets it back from Iheanacho in the space that's ahead of him. Barnes takes the shot, and De Gea makes a world-class save to keep United in the game within the first 10 minutes. If you didn't actually catch the whole game, this is the third clip we're showing you inside the first 10 minutes where Leicester had a good chance. As De Gea kicks it long, Weghorst ends up losing the duel to Wout Faes, and we see both Sabitzer and Fred not being in a good position to win the second ball. Sabitzer tries to dive in to get the ball towards Luke Shaw, but it's an epic fail, and Leicester are 3v3 again. Maddison gets the ball under control and plays an easy pass to Iheanacho in behind, who's actually in a great position to shoot shoot it past De Gea into either corner, but he ends up taking a second touch and gets blocked by Lindelof, and Leicester don't convert the chance. From all three clips that we've seen so far, United were far too open on the counterattack because either Shaw was out of position and there was nobody to cover him, Fred and Sabitzer were out of position defensively, or Weghorst was losing aerial duels from goal kicks in that 10 position. Ten Hag solved all three of these problems with one substitution at halftime that changed the team like this. So Ten Hag brought on Sancho for Garnacho in the second half and moved around 3 of the 4 players up top by moving Weghorst to the striker role from the 10 role, which allowed him more freedom to press without worrying about defensive duties in midfield. And whenever De Gea took a goal kick up to him, we had more United players not behind him to win the second ball after he loses the aerial duel. He also moved Rashford to the left-hand side, which meant that Tete and Dewsbury Hall had to help that area a little bit more because we all know how dangerous Rashford is, which put less pressure on Luke Shaw defensively and allowed him more space to get forward. And Sancho in the 10 allowed United to keep the ball more because Sancho is better than Weghorst at playing quick passes in tight spaces, which is something that Weghorst really struggled with in the first half, and this automatically put less defensive pressure on both Fred and Sabitzer in these areas because United were just keeping the ball more. It's actually amazing how much influence a manager can have on a game with just one substitution and a few tactical changes. Ten Hag is quickly proving himself to be one of the best in-game managers in the Premier League, and I love seeing this as a United fan because I've seen so-called tactical geniuses like Mourinho and Van Gaal struggle with this in the Premier League. Now we have to shed some light on the man of the match, Captain Fantastic himself, Bruno Fernandes. Since this man joined the club on the final day of the January transfer window in 2020, he's been one of my favorite players. Even when his form wasn't that good last season, I never doubted this man because you can just see the passion in his eyes, his body language, and his performances. Out of the 38 games that Man United have played this season, Bruno has missed just 2, one of them due to a yellow card suspension versus Villa in the Premier League, and one because he was rested versus Charlton in the League Cup quarterfinals. And let's not forget that he played every minute of every game for Portugal in the World Cup. I just don't think this man is human. Now we have some clips here to show you his quality on the ball, and we'll talk through some of his stats as we go along. We start with Wout Faes playing a terrible pass into Mendy, and Sabitzer pounces on the loose ball and passes it straight to Bruno Fernandes. As soon as Bruno receives it, he's ready to play the ball to Rashford in behind. And we can see Rashford asking for it in this area, but Bruno has already made the motion to start playing the pass in behind. So he doesn't even wait to see Rashford gesturing for the ball in behind. He already knows he's going to do that and he's ready to play the pass. So Bruno plays a lovely Trivela pass to Rashford in behind the 4 Leicester players, and Rashford gets to the edge of the box. He takes a look up to see if Garnacho is in a better position for the pass, but he decides to go for the shot himself and absolutely lasers one in past the goalkeeper and makes United go 1-0 up. Bruno's vision is absolutely next level. He always knows where his teammates are going to be, and that's why he creates so many chances for Man United. He created 9 chances in this game alone, and he has 68 in the Premier League this season, just 2 behind Kieran Trippier at 70 and 7 behind Kevin De Bruyne, who's at 75. As a playmaker, Bruno can be absolutely world-class, but I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. In this clip, we see Weghorst picking up the ball in transition and he plays it to Dalot. Now Dalot has 2 options in front of him. He can either dink it in behind to get Rashford through, or he can play the safer pass to Bruno. As Dalot dribbles forward, his best option now appears to be Bruno, so that's what he does. Bruno sees the space for Dalot in the center and dinks a perfectly weighted pass into his stride, as we'll see here. But somehow Dalot cannot get this ball into the net. I couldn't actually believe my eyes when this happened. Maybe if he goes with his left foot, United go 2-0 up and Bruno has 2 assists inside the first half. In our final clip, we see Bruno's assist for the Sancho goal, and oh my lord, what a great team goal that was. Tielemans here is about to play a poor pass into Iheanacho near the center circle. We see Martinez win the ground duel by karate chopping the ball so it gets towards Sabitzer. Sabitzer lays it off to Rashford's path, and as Rashford dribbles forward, he can play Rashford in behind here, but he decides not to because by the time Weghorst actually gets to the ball, Vafesh is probably in a good position to cut him off. So he dribbles forward and lays it off to Sancho instead, who gets to the edge of the box, and he can either lay it off to Bruno or play the harder pass in behind to Weghorst. So Sancho decides to lay it off to Bruno at the edge of the box, and Bruno gets into a really nice position with space in front of him inside the box itself, which is really dangerous to give a player of the quality of Bruno Fernandes. And Sancho himself gets into the space that's vacated by Wout Faes. Bruno obviously knows exactly what needs to be done. He drives a cross into that space, and it's an easy tap-in for Sancho past the goalkeeper, who has absolutely no chance. Very rarely does Bruno mess up a chance that should be a goal, like the one we just saw. His problems come in when he's constantly trying to create chances out of nothing, and he ends up giving the ball away. He truly is leading from the front, and his role as the captain of this team is absolutely underrated. Just look at our win percentage this season since Maguire's not been in the team, because Bruno's been the captain for all those games. What a player Bruno is. I hope he goes from strength to strength under this manager and stays at United for a long time. In closing thoughts, I thought Ten Hag picked up another important win in the Premier League before we face off against Barcelona on Thursday, Newcastle in the League Cup on Sunday, and then West Ham in the FA Cup on the week after that. Do you guys think Man United is in the title race? Get in the comments with your thoughts, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.